Hey, what's up, guys? So, you reached level 50. Well, what now, right? That seems to be the burning question for a lot of people who are new to Throne of Liberty. Luckily for you, it is actually incredibly easy, and we're going to start you off good here. One of the first things that you would want to do in Throne of Liberty is to do your contracts. And why do you want to do your contracts first? Is because your contracts actually are one of the more easier ways that you can get your combat power up and your overall power up. Because once you do your contracts, and you're gonna do them at level 50 here in Watcher's Post, and over here, or over here in Pure Light Tower, I usually do mine here because it's easier. Once you start doing these things, you'll start to get materials for leveling. I recommend getting the weapon first, and the reason why I recommend getting the weapon first is, for example, let's say that you have your sword and shield. If you notice in my sword and shield right now, this at +8 alone, and it's gonna be the same at +9, gives me 10 strength. That is a whole breakpoint when it comes to stats in this game, right? So that's the weapons are one of the highest, like biggest power spikes you can possibly get, especially with each and every upgrade. So, and after that, not just that, by the way, you also get these training dues. And these training dues, you'll notice as you level from like 1 to 50, your mastery has been at level 0. As you do these contracts, you'll get a ton of these training dues, and that will get you to around, probably with the save contracts on day 1, might most likely get you to like level 6 mastery, which is huge. Just for example, just to show you, is in Sword and Shield, this tree, shield block chance 8%. And for those of you who don't know, 8% chance when you shield block, it reduces at base 40% damage received. And as you go down here, you get more and more stats. And just like here, it's shield block chance 8%. So mastery is a very huge deal. And that's why you want to do your contracts first. Now that you've done your contracts, however, now is the time to go into your co-op dungeons and do your tier 1 dungeons. This is where you're going to farm a lot of your purple gear, a lot of your end game tier 1 gear, especially your weapons at first. If you're a great sword user, you try to farm this field general armor and these helmets to give yourself a huge power spike, and also to get these parchments, which are going to be crucial to your progression, right? So, and the other thing that you can do is go to any sundries merchant in the game, right? And once you go to any sundries merchant in the game, hop on over here, and you'll see I already bought these two out, right? So always buy these out weekly. These are stackable, and you're going to use them eventually, even the ones that you can't quite use yet. And the other thing too is, I haven't done it yet for today, is to buy all these ingredients. These ingredients are very cheap, and you can buy them daily. They have a daily limit, and the thing about this is, this means that you have at least some set amount of ingredients that you can use for cooking, especially something that can only be purchased at a set time, and you don't even have to farm for it, right? The other way that you can farm your ingredients is going to be the Amatoy Adventure. So a lot of people were asking, like, I don't want to farm salt. I don't want to farm anything, any of these ingredients, right? Nobody wants to go hunt low-level mobs for very minimal returns. Your Amatoy Adventure will give you the necessary ingredients depending on where you're searching, right? So this one, for example, I'm farming salt, and that's basically it. I don't have to manually farm it because I don't want to, right? And I know a lot of people don't. And that's basically one of the things that you should take note of. If you can do the 1 hour every hour, that's going to be a lot better. But if you don't have a lot of time, or you don't want to think about it, you could always do the 8 hour ones. And then after that is going to be the open world dungeons. You can see I have 20k stacked right now, right? The reason why I have 20k stacked right now and have it at full is because of the fact that in our milestone, this is around like the fourth, more like fifth day, you're gonna have Shadow Crypt open, right? You can see in 3 hours and 55 minutes, we're gonna have it open. And the thing is that this one right here drops some really good purples, and that's one of the reasons why you want to spend your Abyss currency dungeons over there. And, you know, some people might farm a bit of Silius Abyss to get the Soul of the Dead to craft some blues from the Wandering Merchant if they want to look for traits. Some people will want to farm Temple of Silitheth, for example, for one of the items in here, which is like the Resonance Blade for SNS users. Some people might want to farm Ant Cave because they have certain pieces in here, like I believe it's in the Acid Ant, like the elusive Hex Weaver pants that gives you dexterity. And there are some here, I believe, that also drop a hat, like this one right here. High drop rate, gives you hit chance, gives you dexterity. As for a lot of DPS classes, they do want to farm these just because of the fact that they want to hit breakpoints early. So that's one of the reasons why you would want to farm these things, besides the upgrade materials that you get from it. But in my opinion, and this is just my advice, if you're not going for those things, or especially if you're just deciding to buy those things in the market, because they will be there, they will be cheap, because they're easily farmable and they have high drop rates, you can wait for Shadowed Crypt. Now, besides the open world dungeons, there's also another thing. You can see up here, Mystic Keys. Now, these ones at 50, you want to do them usually around the 6th, towards like the end of the expiration. The moment that you buy these things, they have a 7-day expiration from the time of acquisition. If you're not in a competitive guild, that's completely okay. You can do them right away if you want. It doesn't matter. But if you're in a competitive guild, or you're trying to get up there in the activity points, what you want to do is you want to do these the end of the week, because mainly because there is some type of decay every day for activity, and holding these out as long as you can also means that you get to keep and maintain a high activity rating, and that is if especially you're in a competitive guild, right? Another tip that I have too is for the dimensional contract tokens for dungeons especially, is that these things are, you might have seen before reset that mine was at negative. So each dungeon, tier 1 dungeon, costs around 300 tokens to run. But let's say that you have less than 300. Let's say you only had like 1 token left. As long as you have 1 to 299 tokens, you can run another dungeon and you can go into a deficit. So let's say like you only had 1 token left, you can still run a dungeon, open the chest at the end, and just go into like negative 299, right? And you just pay for it the next day, which is always a good idea, because you want to get your gear as soon as you can instead of like waiting another day, if possible, right? So that's one of the things that you can do with this dimensional contract tokens. And again, another tip that I can give you is under the contract manager, every time you take one quest from here, right, you can refresh right away. Sometimes you'll see different tiers up here, and when you do, like this one right here, there's a lot of the times you want to take it because it does offer more rewards. But again, if you're a little bit short on time, or maybe you just don't feel like doing contracts all day, you can always get the easier ones like this one, where you just have to gather. You can always take this one right here, where all you have to do is run over there, talk to a parrot, and then you're done. Or you can take this one right here, where all you have to do is really go to a certain spot in Fonus Basin. It's the same spot every time, and you just talk, you just interact with an object, and then you're done, right? And this is if you're short on time, you can still get them done. Another tip I can give you when it comes to contracts, though, is that as you can see in the bottom here, you can have up to a cap of 60. Now, let's say that you're a busy guy, you know, you have a lot to do during the week, and you don't really have a lot of time to do contracts, not even the easy ones. What you can do is you can stack it to more than 6 days. So let's say you're already at 60 on the 6th day. All you have to do, take one of these easy ones, do it, complete it, and when it gets down to 59, because you're not fully capped, it actually overflows a little bit. So what's going to happen there is that you're going to go from 59, and instead of like just capping at 60 and losing 9, what's going to happen is you're actually going to go up to 69. So that's like another day that you can do. So if you're busy like the whole week, that's one thing that you can guarantee do. That way you don't miss out on like a lot of progress, even if you are casual. And at level 50, if you can, if you're not a spender, my advice is to build or create an alt level to 50 and then run dungeons with it. It can be any weapon combination you want, because Lucent is shared between your accounts. That means that if your alt sells something, if your alt farms a dungeon, gets an item with a good trait that is in demand, you can extract it using your extract option in at the bottom here, right? Put that here. You know what? Just for this video, I'm going to spend 5 of my thread extract stones just to demonstrate it. I'm going to extract it right now. And in my inventory, you will see something called an extract, right? So what's going to happen is this thing right here is now sellable in the market. So usually like these weapons, right? They're not sellable in the market. You can tell too because it's grayed out at the bottom here. So what you can do is extract it like that. Pretend that's like my Karnak sword because I don't want to extract my Karnak sword. And then you can sell, and then you can put that in the marketplace, right? So basically, that is one of the things that you can do, especially if you're hardcore, you can do that. If you're hardcore free to play, you can do that. If you're casual, you don't have to, right? Don't feel pressured. Another thing you can do at 50, and honestly, if you follow my leveling guide, you're probably going to be 50 in like 4 or 5 hours. So let's say that you hit 50, you've probably done world bosses pre-50, but just as a reminder, you can do events, and you can do bosses. If you feel like a lot of pressure, you're not in a competitive guild, and it's just so overwhelming, so many events, then if you have to choose, just choose a boss. The reason why is because the rewards that you currently get for participating in these events is not really all that much. It matters more to people that are in competitive guilds that are trying to collect more activity points for rankings. But for you, if you're casual or if you don't have a lot of time, you can just go to a peace boss. You don't have to go to every single one because you only get this reward once per boss per like time slot. So you want to get this right away, and it gives you your potions, it gives you some precious polished crystals that you're going to use to craft stuff, and you're going to get some more Marand ores, which is also going to help you craft more skill books so you can level up your skills. And then you get these right here, special resistance metals. You collect about 40 of these, and it allows you to craft base epic piece of equipment, which is huge. You can either use it for yourself, or if it's a good trait, you could also sell it in the market for more lucid. And then the other thing that you can get is these stellarites. So these stellarites are good to have because they can be quite expensive if you use a lot of them. So what these things do is basically give you 10% more weapon damage. Now, just a reminder, you have to equip it on both your weapons. So let's say that I have this equipped, I want to swap over. I have to make sure that they're both equipped, because otherwise, if I equip this on this weapon, I switch back, still equipped. So you got to make sure that you have both of those equipped, okay? So the other thing that you have to take note of is that how worth it is it? It is a huge deal, right? 30.5k. And the reason is because it tends to add up. Now, if you're wondering like, well, why should I worry about like a small measly 30.5k? I have like millions by the time I'm getting to level 50. Well, the thing is, once you start crafting your skill books, once you start crafting your upgrade materials for your weapon, or even upgrading your weapon, it costs Solent. And Solent is going to become a very scarce resource for you, especially if you don't grind a lot. And that's one of the reasons why you want to do that. You want to save as much money as you can, because Solent does tend to be hard to come by, especially if you are not much of a grinder, or if you don't really like grinding too much, right? And that is basically the things that you should be focusing on as soon as you hit level 50. Hopefully that helps out, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.